just wanted to serve his country.
I didn't go into the Marine Corps to be a civil rights activist. That was the furthest thing from my mind. I just wanted to be a Marine, that's all.
But Bruce Yamashita faced an enemy he never expected.
The sergeant came up to me from behind and asked, "Hey, you speak English?" I said, "Yes, I do, Sergeant Instructor." And that's when he yelled, "Well, we don't want your kind around here. Go back to your own country." During World War II, we whipped your Japanese ass. Why didn't you just join the Japanese army? Yamashita, you got to understand that the white boys, I don't make the decisions here, it's the white boys that make the decisions. And that's when Colonel Ranke told me, "You are disenrolled. You are kicked out."
I think the Marine Corps handled this pretty much like a lot of institutions have handled racism and discrimination. They pretend that it's not there.
Bruce persevered when many others might not have.
It was really trying to get my dignity back. And I was naive. I figured, well, this thing will be resolved in a couple months, one way or another. And that was just foolish. My career was on hold. You know, in fact, my career was I had no career. Everywhere I went, people asked me, "So how is this case going?" And those were the supportive ones. And of course, there are those who said, "Why don't you just get a job?" When my father was diagnosed with cancer, that's when everything just, it was really a bad time. I just didn't know what I was going to do, whether this case was going to be resolved. And I just prayed to God that this case would be resolved, hopefully could be resolved in time for my father to see it.
Stonewalling Bruce's case was, I think, remarkable for its stupidity. They could have handled it with a lot more finesse and not turned this into this public relations disaster that eventually came to be.
I fired off a Freedom of Information Act request to the Marine Corps requesting the minority dropout rates at OCS.
Consistently, no matter which piece of the data we looked at, no matter which class we were looking at, no matter how many years of those classes we put together, it would always be that non-white candidates had a much lower probability of passing through the system than white candidates. There was a very systematic kind of bias that was occurring in the Marine Corps.
In July 1993, 60 Minutes contacted us. We just saw it as another opportunity to continue the pressure on the Marine Corps. But when the Commandant of the Marine Corps, in his interview, said what he said, then all hell broke loose.
We find that the minority officers do not shoot as well as the non-minorities. They don't swim as well. And when you give them a compass and send them across the terrain at night in a land navigation exercise, they don't do as well at that sort of thing.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Bruce Yamashita,
Do solemnly swear
Having to go through what he went through, to me, is just a tragedy.
to support and defend
He's able to inspire people of color, Asian Pacific Americans, that you can fight and you can win.
against all enemies,
against all enemies.
Bruce really stepped to the plate.
He would not be deterred. And, I give him a lot of credit for sticking it out. I really do.
K.W. Lee said, some of the most important things come from the extraordinary acts of ordinary people. Bruce Yamashita is a hero.